We have talked about the amazing tracing paper from Richard the Thread, and today we're going to be talking about the tools you're going to use with that paper to get those darts and notches all onto your pieces of fabric. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally apparel pattern, creating unique pieces of wearable art. And once I actually get my patterns patterned on the computer, I then have to either print them out or project them out to then be able to create those pieces. I love using that Richard the Thread tracing paper to then get my markings put on my fabric. In conjunction with my tracing paper, I use these fun little these fun little tracing wheels. This one in particular is my absolute favorite. She comes with 3 different heads. She comes with this little flower head. We're going to put a picture up here so you can see the difference between them. Then she also has a pop out where she also comes with a kind of a spiky one that if you were wanting to do more of a pouncing wheel. And then she also comes with what I call a pizza wheel. Those are kind of the 3 types of tracing wheels that I always suggest that you have. Now, I have many others that come from all over. These ones right here are probably the most common ones that you'll see sold at like Joann's or Hobby Lobby. They are plastic, they break down pretty quickly, and I always find they do not last very long, and they are constantly being replaced. This one, actually, it's doing okay, but it's probably about on its last legs because it does have a little bit of a hump. Now, I do have some other fun tracing wheels. This one in particular is a super handy one to have because, as you can see right up front here, you can actually place these separate tracing wheels at different widths. So if you were wanting to mark a stitch line and a cut line at the same time, you would actually be able to do that with this tool. And because it has so many different presets, you can actually set how close together or far apart you want each one of your seams. Super handy, 100%. This one is from Clover. Another one that I have is one that pops out. It is a Singer one. It has a pizza wheel and a serrated or a floral one. And you can pop one in, pop them both out. Well, if you pop them both out, it's a set size in between, and I never do that. So I'd always have one or the other popped in or out. These ones are okay. I do find this one can break, kind of like these other easy, more cheap ones. If you can ever find one of the older ones or ones that are a little bit more structurally solid, you'll pay a little bit more for them. However, they will last forever. I have worked in numerous shops where they have wooden ones from way back when, and those things are solid. I love them, and I need to get a set for myself. Or if I can just find this guy again, I would be happy. I have not been able to find her for a long time. So if anybody knows where this particular tracing wheel tool is, I would love to know so that I can buy another one so I have a backup. So here we have all the different tracing wheels that I work with on a semi-regular basis. Like I said, I always use this one the most. And probably these blue ones are my least favorite, and I don't recommend them. But let's give it a try. So I have my tracing paper here. We're going to go ahead and lay that down. I also always like to use a ruler while I'm using my tracing paper. So I'm going to start with just a pizza wheel. Whenever I'm working with the pizza wheel, I always find a slight back and forth motion really helps set that line. The most common time I use a pizza wheel is when I'm using white on white. That way, when I pop it off, you can see the line here fairly well. Maybe not. Let's see. Can we get you? Let's try to get this camera a little bit closer. Boop, boop. Well, we've gotten you a little bit closer so you can now see that line. And like I said, I do like to, with the pizza wheel specifically, use a little bit more of that back and forth motion because it really helps get it in there. The next one we have is this blue one here. So when I'm actually moving this, I'll just do one straight line, but if you can see how it actually has quite a bit of play left to right, which as you're like just kind of putting pressure on it. There's a lot of play there. So it likes to just kind of move around. But it does provide a very nice little dotted line. So there are pros and cons to that one. This one's very much the same as both the pizza wheel and the serrated edge, or the dotted edge. This pizza wheel, as you can see, is already starting to break down and already has kind of a flat spot in it. So that's why it's not one of my favorite tools to use. But let's go ahead and move on to my favorite little girl, this little floral one. I love her. Oh, a little bit of a light line. Let me give you just a little bit more pressure there. Ooh, still kind of a light line. But I do love that it's a little bit longer of a dashed line, and I just like the feel in the hand of this one and how smoothly it glides because of how it's seated in there. If you want to use the other ones, it just easily pops out, and you have both of the pizza wheel or like the pounce wheel that you can use, and then we can set it right back in. The last one we have is our clover that we can easily change up. You see, yep. So you can easily change up which width you want to use. Now, as you're using it, I again like to have my paper down, and this one I will do a little back and forth and also pick it up because it has 2 points of contact. It can start kind of pulling the paper in. You can see it as I picked it up, it was kind of moving. But and it does move that fabric just a little bit. Now, I have not pinned my fabric down. I did not pin my paper down. Once you actually pin everything down, it stays in place a little bit better, but that is something you want to be aware of. And it looks like, did I really only get, and the pressure on this one is always a little interesting. You want to make sure you're giving good solid pressure to both wheels. And I do always find that one wheel is a little bit lighter than the other one. But it is nice to only have to go around once instead of having to go around twice or measure twice. So that is those wheels, or that was all those tracing wheels and how they actually react and work with the fabric. And there we have it. Those are the tracing wheels that I definitely recommend to get if you're wanting to work with the Richard the Thread tracing paper or any other tracing paper that is used. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe so you can see other tips and tricks and tool reviews as well as digital pattern drafting. I look forward to seeing you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!